Awesome. So first of all, just want to welcome you all to the talk here. Endless possibilities, building a Customer 360 with Neo4j, Structr, and your vendor's APIs. Come on in, come on, let's go, everybody in. Grab anybody else who's outside as well, bring them in. Come on, bring everyone in.
Just tell them that t-shirt here.
Yeah, we have got swag.
T-shirt on the slide.
So, just for introductions, this is talk from Dana Canzano, colleague here, Alex. Anybody who can perhaps read my badge from here or knows me from yesterday's talk. I'm not Dana. I'm in fact Phil. Dana unfortunately couldn't be here, so on Friday last week I got a conversation, a sync message from my boss. It's like, hey, we need to sync about GC. I was like, awesome, like Java, JVM, I can do tech support, that's what I do. Tech support manager, this is garbage collection, this is exactly what we do. Sadly, no, it was Graph Connect. Dana can't make it. Do you want to do a talk? It's like, what's it about? It's better be about something I care about, because I only talk from the heart. Turns out we want to talk about, and this is Dana's talk that Axel put together, wanted to talk about our 360 portal that we actually use in-house at Neo4j, using our own systems, and Structr is the front end. So this links to our vendor APIs. So, hand over, quick introduction. So,
yeah, thanks Phil. Yes, it's great to be here again after a couple of years not being at a Graph Connect. Yeah, my name is Axel Morkner. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Structr. Company based out of Frankfurt, Germany, and I'm really happy to here to share the stage. And so my part will only be kind of the like elevator pitch, like 5, maybe 10 or 15 minutes, telling a little bit about Structr, mostly the features of Structr and what has been used in this project. And yeah, again, I'm really happy to be here. And well, we had to change plans a little bit, as Phil just pointed out. So I was prepared to bring a cycling jersey for Dana, because I know he's doing road cycling as myself, so we share the hobby, and I brought one in his size, and now it's Phil on stage. So, but I have also a jersey in Phil's size, so now we get 2.
Yeah, so thank you very much for the handshake photo opportunity. Thank you very much. So
it's always good
for you, Dana, as well.
Be well prepared. And yeah, back to you, Phil. And
awesome, thank you, Alex.
Cool.
Axel, sorry, my mistake. So first of all, the technologies. So a little bit about what we have here. So starting off, we've got Neo4j. Now this is a live system. This isn't, oh, but you could do this. Or this isn't, have you thought about doing this? This is actually live, what I use every day. Colleague there, Mike on the rope. Hannah, Mike, hello. Yeah, this is what we use. This is our live production systems. We'll include a demo. I forgot to ask Alicia exactly how much you have to pay the demo gods to get the demo to work correctly. We'll see, hopefully it'll go well. When we first started out building this system, Neo4j running there on 3.5. Put the support caveats in here. We don't support 3.5 for much longer, so if you're running 3.5, please go to 4. Today we're running 4.4, so we are in support. APOC, if anybody knows our sort of user-curated stored procedure library, APOC, we use APOC a lot. APOC load JSON parameters is one of the things we use a lot. That calls out to a URL. That's basically like, go and get a REST API, go get this, your JSON data. Back in the day, we used to use 3.5. Now, again, using APOC 4.4. Structr, again, it's evolved as a platform. We started out on 3.6. Now running on 4.1. And there's a lot more that Structr can do than we're even using. So I quickly wanted to talk about why this project started. And a long time ago, there was a question. How many people click that button down there in the bottom right-hand corner, which is our sort of like broadcast channel from support, like support notifications. We'll tell you when things are released, we'll tell you when things go out a day. The portal we're looking at here, this is our support portal, customer support. This is live screenshot. We wanted to know how many people have clicked on this, which customers, that data is not available from this portal. So, as a lot of these systems start, it's a bit of glue, a bit of filler to try and get the information we need out the middle of this. So we're looking at this and okay, let's build this system. Now we don't have a development team, we have a support team. The development team, they build the database. We're just support, we're just putting this together. So we wanted to like a low code, low touch, get the answer quickly. This is where Structr came in. And it talks a lot to your APIs. We can talk to APIs within Neo4j, we talk with Cypher, load JSON params. So these are actually the systems we're interacting with. So we use Zendesk support today. That's support tickets, that's the systems there. We've got APIs into Zendesk. Trello, that's where engineering used. Work on this, do these sort of pieces. That's their work. Bambo HR, that's our HR data. Some things there on the right-hand side, we've got Salesforce. That's where a lot of our commercial information is. We're integrating into that direction next. And Auth0. Now, we don't actually get any data from Auth0, but when you sign up with a license agreement and you put your name, 5, 10, how number of named contacts, we want to set you up with our single sign-on system. So we actually have built a section in Customer360 inside Structr to actually call out. This isn't just dashboards. You can build very rich applications here. So this is actually calling out into Auth0 to provision the single sign-on accounts that you use for accessing our support site and other areas. Quick whistle-stop tour here of the model that we apply. We have Zendesk tickets, Trello links, goes to a card, you can see there in the middle. We have Trello members, we have pull requests, Zendesk organizations, that's customers as we would know it. We have users, Zendesk sections, we can track this. This is who's looking into what sections of our support notifications, things like that. Ticket updates, coming down here to the bottom left. Top left up there, we've got Zendesk satisfactions, that's the surveys. Again, we link that to a ticket. So, this is the model, at least a pretty high level view. Now, there's always something about don't put pages and pages of queries on the slide deck there. Let's just try and run through a little bit of what's going on. It's not my slide deck, so I can say what I want about it. It's that easy. So we, quick return section loaded. Running through, matching some imports. Import page there, we've got a URL. Matching this import, we go through. There's an API token in there. Do some JSON parameters, burn through the sections, go all the way through, keep loading, find all the subscriptions. This is how we do it. This is pulling in how many users have clicked that button. This is where it started from. And sure, you can write other things in Cypher. Side note, that API key, that's unique to you, but that's not ours. We obfuscated that bit, so please don't try and call in all of our data using the API that we've just published. No, that key's not going to work. So that's not ours. So feel free to zoom in and copy it as often as you want. We'll be safe. One of the things you might be talking to an API system which has pagination. Well, we can iterate over things in Cypher. So this is using Cypher to actually just keep running through this information. Here it is. Basically, you can see we're using this case section down here at the bottom. So when the next page is there, we can just cycle through. We can just keep loading pages and basically go into an iterative loop there. If we get 300 entries per page, toggles onto the next page, pulls it in, pulls it in, pulls it in. Now, for some of those out there who might be going, hey, can I actually do this myself? Do you provide any examples? Absolutely, yes. You could go and have a look at my blog, says the notes. That's not me. Don't go look at my blog, go look at Dana's blog. Dana actually has queries here. This is the Bamboo. You've got in the middle, you've got the charts. Down at the bottom, Zendesk to Neo4j. So if you use Zendesk, your systems may vary. You might have different things going on. But if you can talk to a HTTP API, you can talk to it in Cypher. So we just keep pulling this data in. We do it periodically. Again, there's other ways to do this. We're not application developers. We're tech support people putting this together on the outside. And the key technology that's allowed us to do this is Structr, which is such a low touch. We're not putting code in there. We're just, a little bit of Cypher, a little bit of formatting, and it's that visualization. You'll probably hear this in a lot of talks. It's like visualizing that data is actually where the value is, and getting that data out of a graph. So I'll hand over to my colleague Axel here for what's Structr.
Yeah, thanks, Phil. Thanks, Phil, for a great description of the project. And so let me now try to explain a little bit about Structr, the product, and the platform itself. And maybe I can try to connect to what Phil just lined out in terms of how was Structr used in this particular project. So in general, we say that Structr is a low-code application platform based on Neo4j. So we are around in the community for like almost, I think, 11 years or something. So this is started in 2010 as a content management system based on Neo4j. So it was, I think, at that time, the first and also the only graph CMS, if you will. And since then, it has evolved into a fully fledged, versatile platform that can be used to build any application you can think of. Of course, also a Customer360 application, as Phil and Dana just proved, and Phil just showed us. So it's targeted to not only non-developers, that's one target group, but also developers who want to make their own lives a bit easier. Also power users. I would count Dana in that category as a power user. He knows a little bit, as he said, I think he knows much about, but he told us he knows a little bit about web programming back from his like PHP days, like a couple of years ago, and then he thought about how can I just start a project without doing the hard stuff, and then he looked around and he found Structr. So you can build custom applications, whatever you want to build, and yeah, professional developers are supported by just a couple of visual tools I want to just show you in a minute, and they can significantly reduce their workload by getting rid of repetitive tasks like boilerplate coding, taking care of choosing a platform, a driver, and so on. So it brings a lot of built-in functionality, things that we kind of collected over like 10 years of doing projects with our own software. So initially, Structr was built for us lazy developers. I mean, typically, developers are lazy and they don't want to do all these repetitive tasks. And all this has been added to this platform, and so nowadays we support these typical use cases, like, of course, still content management, building a headless CMS around Neo4j. It's one of the top use cases for Structr. It can be used as a middleware and integration platform, as also this project proves, or just can be treated or seen as a very generic graph database wrapper. That means that once you build or define a data model which reflects the data in Neo4j, it just automatically creates, without any line of programming needed, sophisticated RESTful JSON or GraphQL APIs, including security, including type safety, data validation, transformation, and so on. Pagination, we heard, a very important topic if you're dealing with real-world volumes of data. But of course, you can build data analysis and visualization systems, or applications. Everything you can do with Neo4j, of course, can be used with Structr as well because it's based on the Neo4j graph platform. Knowledge graphs, and of course recommendation engine. So the typical Neo4j use cases, of course, and obviously also valid use cases for the Structr platform. So already my last slide. I hope you can see it well enough. So these are examples of the visual tools the Structr platform provides. I will start at the schema editor. I think that's the most important tool because this is where you define the structure of your data as you would do in Neo4j by defining the graph schema. It's almost the same thing. Maybe some additional features like it kind of creates an object-oriented data model with type inheritance, and in the back end, it generates Java code and it uses type safety, which is a good thing because whenever you change the data model at runtime, you can do it on a live system. Another question or different question if it's recommended to do that in a live system. Of course, you can break things, but technically you can do. And for each change in the data model, for example, adding a new attribute or a new type or connecting two types, the system generates Java code or Java JVM bytecode in the backend. It just gets injected into the running JVM, and it's active and available throughout the whole platform immediately. So that's a big thing I believe, and this is one of the reasons why you can develop very quickly because you have very short feedback cycles. So as I said, it's used as kind of an object graph mapper. On top of that, the other functionality just sits on top of that. For example, a security system with users, groups, and roles can even connect to an LDAP server. A file management system is integrated so you can define hierarchy of folders or folder hierarchy. You can even connect to existing file systems by only mapping out the metadata and keeping the files on the file system that is already existing. That's maybe even a possible extension for the system Dana built here. Also, for each of the data types that are defined in the schema, the system automatically creates an open API or Swagger documentation automatically. You can even add your own documentation to it. And then use the whole Swagger or open API ecosystem to, for example, create or let the system create wrappers for your preferred programming language. So it's a very versatile backend. Speaking of languages, the latest version supports or is built around the GraalVM, the latest incarnation of the JVM by Oracle. And we are heavily making use of the features of the GraalVM. It comes with a polyglot scripting engine. So wherever you are in the platform, be it in the back end, some methods, or be it in the front end, we'll mention in a second, you can use scripting, and you can use the scripting language, your favorite scripting language, like for example JavaScript, Java, Python, R, PHP, C#, you name it, because this is just a great technology for low-code platforms, and we just making full use of it. Last but not least, it's also built on top of that. This is what I think Dana was attracted by, is the page builder tool. You can think of it as a very technical content management system where you can define pages and shared components, templates, using expression languages, using data binding directly to the Neo4j database. Even you can just use Cypher in a page and very quickly create dynamic pages, but also interactive applications. And interesting thing here maybe is that the structure of the front-end data, for example, the page tree also is stored as a graph in Neo4j, and page rendering is very, very fast. because it just starts at the page node and traverses through the graph, collects the content, even the dynamic content, and pushes it to the client. So we can do real-time page rendering, back-end real-time page rendering in milliseconds. If you ever have operated a WordPress system, for example, a WordPress CMS, and switching off the page cache, you've noticed that it can become awfully slow. So with Structr, that's not a problem because all the pages, be it like with or without cache, are just blazingly fast, thanks to Neo4j. That was a short overview about the tool itself, and I'll hand back to Phil for the demonstration.
Awesome, thanks, Axel. So, going back to what I was saying at the start of the talk, this is absolutely where we pray to the gods. I said before, I should have asked Alicia exactly what the going rate is for the bribery. And we're going to do a quick demo here. This is live. Things might happen, things might break. So I quickly wanted to just, take you inside. How are we using Structr? And Axel mentioned the page tree. Well, we can see it here building from our dashboard. This is what we look at. This is actually how I look at information as a manager on a daily basis within Neo4j. The system was built by some support engineers to support our operations. We're not web designers. It looks a little bit funky in places, but it's actually so rich and so deep insightful. So quick demo, here we go. Got some anonymized data there. So we can see here in the dashboard, this is organization 001. They currently have 2 open tickets, no closed tickets. We can see this link to the Trello. We can see of our engineers. We've anonymized all the customer side of things. We're all real. We're employees. We don't mind letting you know who we are. We've got 2 tickets, severity 3 in the last day. Everything that you see rendered here is dynamically brought out from Neo4j, from our own internal insights database that we've collected in the data before. I showed you the queries. That's where we collect the data in. We embed it into our own graph. And this is compiled in real time in the page loader. So we're just looking at the preview here. I can switch this out. Every one of those sections just ran a Cypher query. So when we say it's fast to render because of Neo4j. It's also fast to get the data. If you get the modelization correct, secret, we can actually use our own in-house resources to get good modelization advice. But if you get the model built correctly, you can get the performance from here. Again, we click, call in all the people, call in all the closed tickets, the open tickets. So, just wanted to take you just a little bit inside. How does this work? So, if we look over here, we've got this standard. This is our support level. We've got some other parts down here. If I just shutter that away, this is where hopefully I can drive correctly. So, in fact, back to the page tree, preview, dashboard. It's hard to look at from the side. So we can see down here, we've got table row element. I don't know if this is coming through quite big enough. Let's just make it a little bit bigger. So we've got this table row here. See, this one's got this colored building block symbol. What that's telling me is that we have a repeater. And this is exactly what we were describing before when we say, like, you just embed the Cypher code. So as Dana knows our model, Dana knows our use case, Dana knows what we're doing. He's not an expert in building websites. He's not an expert. Sorry, Dana, if you're listening. He's not an expert in building systems, but he's an expert in the data domain. He actually knows, and this is a problem that a lot of us face. You know, me as a manager, I know what tickets are, I know how we work tickets, I know everything about the tickets that we work, but that's where I spent my 20 years learning this, not 20 years learning web development. Sure, I've edited a few PHP pages, same as Dana, but I can directly embed a Cypher query, REST query, functional queries, and we return it here. So I've got a little commented bit just set aside here. So we just quickly run through what we're doing here. So we match an organization where we take this requested value out of the page, some optional matches, let's get some tickets, who created the ticket, obviously we're going to do some ordering. We then, this is where we do the 30-day, 60-day, 180-day. Simple, we just use some case statements within Cypher. Cypher is a very expressive language, and you can work on this either, we're talking before about the JSON load parameters coming from APOC. APOC can also link out, if you were here 2 talks ago, we're talking about polyglot persistence, we're talking about connecting MongoDB pages with IDs together using a graph, so you can browse, you can traverse the graph, realize what data you need to assemble, collect all that together. So you can do a lot with Cypher. And here it is. So we've got this line here. So what we do is we have to return a map. And this map we return, we've got organization, so we've just got some aliases inside Cypher. So basically we just return this statement, return name, support type field is this o.support type, last reported version, 30 days, again this sum the number of open 30s we've got here is where we calculate that. If the number of days is less than 30, it's a 1, else not. Some open 30, some open 60, and some of the open 180, some detail fields. So here I've got this extra line, the difference between line 11, line 10. 11's got this little section we just added in here, left. Like many functions, it just takes a left character. So we went back to the original page, just quickly show here. Selected organization, support level standard. Go back and edit the repeater, and I'll do the quick, this is the pre-stage changes. Maybe that will appease the demo gods. And I quickly save that. Flashes up in green. Here's the repeater keyword at the bottom. ZD for Zendesk, 30, 60, 180. It's not just an auto ID, it has some meaning inside there. So now I should get a support type, which is only 4 letters long. Again, hit the preview. And there it appears. Change the support level, just to standard. Organization 4 is the same. Organization 2, it's just part. Prem for premium. So very expressive, just use some Cypher, connect the dots. So again, you can see the really low code way of approaching this. You know the Cypher query, put it on a page, and this is how we could do some work. So, quick, has anybody got any questions, anything about the information we've shown? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so yeah, this is very impressive. I think a platform like Polygon's kind of local stuff could work with, with building applications such easily, right? But my question is more on the individual resolution side about the Customer360. So just wondering, like from the algorithm perspective, right? So besides all the several pairs that you show, kind of to big competitors and then find the same customers, but do you use any other algorithms like to identify the customers, same customers, like records?
So we're just starting a new project, starting out next week. Again, we're going to be building this in Structr. So this is just the surrounding data. So this is getting the data that we've got in tickets because we don't get these views. So this was actually like reprocessing, respinning the information we have, we collect from the APIs and redo that. So we don't use any of the, for example, you saw today the GDS algorithms. our Customer360 system predates GDS by a very, very long way, so we didn't have the algorithms there. But once you put that in the graph, yes. And if you can talk to it in Cypher, like GDS, you can immediately present it without having to go, how do I convert from one to the other? The other things, flick through here, we've got things, try to work out one we've got. Try and bring something back which brings back some data. So here we have some tickets, some ticket volume. So this is just using the charting API. Again, we return the data back onto the page and just chart it with an off-the-shelf charting API, put it there. So in very much the same thing. I do know that my boss is hiding at the back. No, we've not just completely got rid of all of our ticket cases because we've anonymized it, we've shrunk the data set down. We do a lot more than 114 cases a quarter, I promise you. And again, one of the things we can use, you can use the importer. So one of the dashboards, we've got some test data. As I said, this is the live system, so we've got some test data. We imported the page. So you've got this page importer which you can use. If you've got a page that you want to start making dynamic, perhaps you made a wireframe. You could take your wireframe model from one of your design teams, import it. We can open here, and exactly you could start to drill down in exactly the same way that we did before. We've got this register today button, and then you can find it inside here. Again, you could grab something, grab the H1, grab a repeater, fill in a Cypher query, and then immediately that's going to stack out and start to produce everything there.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's the basis for what you just describe as a maybe future system. You can at any time just evolve it further because the basis is there. So you have a front-end technology and you have Cypher on the other side, and it's I think easy enough to kind of combine these two things. You can reference any request parameter, for example, to make it dynamic. As Phil just showed us, there was the keyword request dot something like request dot parameter name. So you can of course make it very dynamic and also use, as I said, it's I think it has been migrated to the almost latest version of Neo4j 4.4.4.
Yep.
So, and its APOC is already installed. It's fully compatible with any kind of technology Neo4j provides. I mean, we are in the community and in the Neo4j field like over 10 years. So we know all the products, and it has been kind of optimized for using together with Neo4j. So whatever you can imagine, you can just put it into that solution and it will probably just work. Just require some, like entering some strings and numbers here, but I think the basis, the foundation is there. Yeah.
This reminds me that does this offer some sort of write-back functionality? For example, a user didn't play around with this, right? Can this be written back to Neo4j?
Of course, of course.
Can you write to Neo4j with Cypher?
Yeah.
If you can embed on the page with Cypher, you can write back. You can call out to your other APIs. Again, we mentioned before the Auth0. I go onto this web page. Won't open up which one, but I go to one of these pages, scroll down, find my customer. If they're onboarded, I've got the customer, go to the bottom. I just put their names, geolocations, press go. We toggle Auth0. So we can write out to an external system that's not even linked into our graph. So you're not just stuck within the graph. If you can talk to it from a dynamic modern web system,
yeah,
Structr is.
And it goes even beyond that for the most basic operations, just like create, read, update, delete to the internal database, but also sending out requests to other systems. You don't even have to use Cypher. You can use Cypher, so it's fully compatible with Cypher. But Structr, the system, the backend itself generates Cypher for you. So if you like, customer hits a button, then you can from the front end just create an event, and that event, for example, executes a method in the backend, and this method does a, I don't know, update of a counter, or modifies data in the database, or even sends out a request to a third-party system. So not a problem at all to also take the data from the interaction of the support users and just write them back to the systems where they belong or where they make sense. So, and then with the next refresh of your page, in your dashboard page, you have the updated information. So it's all real time. It's a system that can be not only built in real time, but it also works in real time, as you just saw. And thanks to Neo4j, the page rendering and also, of course, the queries to the database are so fast that you don't have to think about like pre-aggregating any data. So you can just build it, and typically it's just real time. Yep. I don't think that there's any page that runs or request times that are longer than 1 second or something.
Yeah, it's absolutely, it's built by, so, and I think we mentioned this before, we're going to re-stress this again, because you've got this hierarchy here on the left is built inside Neo4j as a hierarchy. Right. You can just play that, depth of search, goal, bang, that is what the page structure is going to be. Here are the dynamic sections. We've not got all the accelerations that we've been able to put on the keynote. Well, I don't have those available. We have to work in today. The keynote gets to work in what we're doing tomorrow. But so even though we don't have that, we still have, you can see the size of the query. Every element on the dashboard page that we have, every one of these sections is actually, I need to drop it back a little bit. This is real time, running off Neo4j in the background. Every one of these sections, every value here is either a calculated field or it's a data set that we're returning. That's real time. Axel can go and edit the page. I can press go. That can be reflected in real time for everybody else that's using it. And it's that iterative cycle we were discussing yesterday. How fast you can actually iterate. We've all worked in the big data warehouse world where it's like you run a SQL query and perhaps it times out after 4 hours or doesn't return the results you want, and you get 2 of those goals a day. Well, if your model is actually returning results this fast, and your development on the page is equally as fast because it's powered by the same technology, the iterative cycle there is so much faster. And to stress, that's on something like myself. I don't code. I can't sit there and be like, hey, I'll actually build you the system and I can build it fast. No, I can just use the page building tools we have in Structr to actually produce this as close to real time as the model, milliseconds for page changes and data model changes.
Yeah. And you even can use the security system, for example, for just, if typically here you want to or you may want to make some sections of this page be hidden to specific user groups. So that this can all be done by like point and click. Like if you would be a manager and tell me, oh, this number of open tickets should not be displayed to that user group, I would go here and just make some clicks, and 10 seconds later with the next page request, it will be finished. So you can have kind of a deployment cycle, like having a development system, a QA system, and a production system. But for fast or rapid development, rapid application development, you probably want to really test it with some kind of live data and really quickly design, further develop your solution. So you can see changes immediately, and this is a big plus in application development.
Yep. So taking the example you said there, perhaps you want to limit the view of some information. Here we've got, again, from the filtered data set, some of our support engineers, this is a dashboard you can imagine I use. Hey Phil, I've got a Sev 1 escalation. I need to know what's the workloading of my team. I can visualize this in my mind from the data set. We could put better visualizations on it, but I mean, I get the numbers, I can visualize that in my head, I can picture my team utilization. But I might not want everybody to see that. Going back to what we were saying. Click, real time, that's gone. If you're logged in as me as a manager, yeah. Perhaps we look at this idea that I'm the tech support manager for EMEA. Maybe I don't get that level of insight data in America. Perhaps we have federal customers. We start going down, and this is where you can start to embed with both the power of Structr's security model, which is inside the graph, and the Neo4j security model, which is inside the graph. All this is powered by Neo4j. And the two models together mean that I might not be able to see, or I might be able to see that perhaps Mike has a ticket working for a federal customer, but I can't see what. So I get the number that he's working on, but I don't get to see the detail. So that's combining the two fine-grained access control models there. And again, to replay the message, this is with no code beyond just understanding the model and what you have in the graph. And call out to your other APIs. You can do this in the middle of when we're doing our searches, and we've got these cipher statements. You could just use APOC MongoDB. Let's go. And from the talk before, if you're doing just a key lookup in the doc database, you can just pull that rich JSON data out into here. You could process it further with Cypher. You could visualize it straight out into Structr.